Andy, and welcome all to the 2021 annual meeting of the membership of OLLI at Berkshire Community College. It's wonderful to see all of you. My name is Barbara Lane, and I'm the president of the OLLI board. The order of business for today's meeting will be, we'll first hear some opening remarks from BCC President Dr. Ellen Kennedy. I will then call the annual meeting to order and have some remarks. That will be followed. Megan, I have just lost my script.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take off the agenda, Andy.
Thank you.
Better?
Yeah. I'm restored. Sorry, everyone.
No worries.
Okay, let's see. I'll call the meeting to order and have some remarks. That will be followed by our Executive Director, Megan Wilden's annual report to the membership. Next will be Len Tabb's Treasurer's report. We'll then have a question and answer period, so please enter any questions for Megan, Len, and me into chat as they occur to you during our remarks. Megan will both answer questions and act as moderator during the Q&A, and you'll be able to continue to ask questions through chat during that period. After the Q&A, I'll announce the results of the votes on our revised bylaws and the votes on the recommended slate of candidates for 2-year terms as at-large OLLI board members. The meeting will then be adjourned. While we are OLLI at BCC, we haven't been on campus for some time. I know there's a good deal of construction, and I'm sure some other exciting things happening on campus that Ellen will catch us up on. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Berkshire OLLI's biggest supporter and best friend, the president of Berkshire Community College, Dr. Ellen Kennedy. Ellen?
Thank you so much, Barbara. I am so appreciative of being here today and exciting always for this annual meeting. And I want to thank you personally for your leadership during an incredibly challenging time. The board has been incredible, our OLLI board and our leadership in OLLI with Megan Wilden, Andy Otteson, and Ray Langsdale, just wonderful partners in how we have all evolved. So OLLI has evolved, and there are OLLIs across the nation who could not do what we did, who decided that they would step back from providing the kinds of support and education and life enrichment that OLLI is so well known for. And we were able, because so many of you were, as we like to say at the college, willing to be vulnerable, willing to look at learning in a different way and trying a different modality, and really exposing yourselves to technology that you may not have even known existed before. So we're all Zoom experts now, and so appreciative that you're here with us today. The college also evolved. We had to do an emergency response last spring, but then our faculty spent the summer working very hard to transfer all of their courses from in-person to mostly online. So just a handful of our courses continued in person this past academic year. I want to call out some of the wonderful ways that OLLI supports us, but two areas that have come to play an important role directly with our students are the mentoring program, and I want to call out Bob Braddock and Erin McNamara and others who have played such an important role in pulling that together. And the impact, last week we had a great end of the year session and heard some of the stories and the impact that mentors have had. And we have hired some additional people on the campus that I think will be able to feed even more students into the mentoring program, because we know how much that program benefits our students. And we're so grateful for that work. One of the spin-offs in some ways from OLLI was the Berkshire Villages, Villages of the Berkshires. And that also provided an opportunity. They went for a national grant and were awarded. And through those funds, we were able to hire a coordinator of experiential learning. And we had students who were able to work in creative writing and helping to do memoir writing. And it was, I don't know if Fran is on the call, but I am still thinking about the piece that you shared at that session last week. Also, our physical therapy assistants were able to apply what they're learning in their class in real time, working one-on-one with OLLI members. So really appreciative of that work. We did see some students step away. Our students are often first responders, they're essential workers. They are parents educating their students and homeschooling through this also process, and we're working hard to bring those students back. I know for some of you, this may be your very first connection to a community college. You're not quite sure what community colleges are all about, but I hope you're delighted that this community college has this OLLI and this connection. And I just wanted to take a minute to share with you that this community colleges have really complicated missions. They're intended to serve as transfer institutions for students who come and do their first 2 years, so to speak, of usually a liberal arts curriculum so that they can transfer along to a 4-year, but they're also pursuing career programs. So we have students coming from homeschooling, we have students coming from high school, students who've taken a break, students who haven't necessarily known success in the past academically, who find their way to us, and students who have done other things in their life and have degrees, advanced degrees, and who come back to pursue a career program. 2/3 of our students are part-time, which makes it even more difficult to complete degrees, but they work extraordinarily hard. And I know those who work with mentoring our students hear some pretty powerful stories about the challenges that some of our students face and what their dreams, hopes, and goals are. And we appreciate your willingness to work with them on that. Just to share with you what's coming for the campus, we're doubling the size of our nursing program, a critical program in the Berkshires right now. Our physical therapy assistant program has also grown quite a bit. We introduced a cannabis certificate program in response to the workforce needs of Berkshire County, and that has been a wonderful program with active learning taking place, and it's all online, that course, although they do a face-to-face apprenticeship at one of the cannabis growing facilities in the Berkshires. We're seeing some major changes in our culinary and our hospitality program that will be introduced this fall, both for credit and non-credit. And our engineering program has also gone through a bit of a refresh, and also introducing a mechatronics program, which is again addressing some workforce needs in engineering in the Berkshires. We're creating a makerspace on the campus that I think might be of interest in general use of OLLI as we get forward. That won't be fully developed until the spring of 2022. We have for credit and non-credit, and our issues, just like you, are non-credit, but we also have programs around non-credit, particularly focused on workforce and preparing people who might be in transition, who might be underemployed, who might need some upskilling to prepare for different opportunities. I want to take just a second and share my screen with you to show you a quick couple of images, because we have a major construction project that you would normally be seeing because you would be on the campus, and you are not able to see that now. So give me a second. Sometimes this works beautifully and sometimes it does not. Oh, wait 1 sec. Sorry, there we go. Okay, so this is to give you a quick taste of some of the capital projects that are happening on the campus right now. We are developing a one-stop on the first floor of Field. If this is where our financial aid office and admissions and the registrar used to be, it's all being torn out right now. And this is some of the work we're doing, remediation work. So it's going all the way back to the shell of what the building was. And we have a live cam, and I'll put this in the chat when I finish to show you, so you can watch the progress of this project. But you can see that this is all draped on the outside of Field right now. So you would not only be walking in when you park over in the visitor lot to the quad area. This is all shielded because they're doing the asbestos and PCB removal on that walkway. You're gonna show you a picture in a minute, but that's gonna be enclosed as part of our new one-stop, which is really to support our students in their enrollment, transfer, and career services aspects. So this is what it will look like when we're done. This is Field and the entrance to student SBA on the right-hand side. So there'll be a real sense of, you're almost looking at it from the garden at the campus, if you know where the main garden is, where the flagpoles are. So this is what you'd be looking at and how it will be. This would be the inside, and over here, if you can see my pointer, this would have been the outside walkway that is now enclosed and part of this whole new setting. This project will be done by, we're hoping early spring, we will see. And this will be a new waiting area. So our intention here is to be able to address student needs. This is called a one-stop, and it's around enrollment services. Our students would be able to come in and work with an academic advisor, deal with their financial aid, transfer, career services. Employers could come in and interview them And we're looking forward to servicing them in a different way. And I know when you come now that Hawthorne and Melville are air conditioned, but this space will now be air conditioned. Slowly but surely, we're moving air conditioning through the campus. I just wanted to, I'm not going to go through all of these projects, but I highlighted the Bolin handrails because I know for some, and OLLI, yeah, you have been hoping we would address this, and I hope that project will be done, if not in June, in July. And we received some outside funding to make that happen. So we will have handrails in Bolin. The other piece that I wanted to mention to you is we are converting our cafeteria area into our teaching kitchen that had normally served you, and we're working on new ways to provide food. We're going to see what happens, how many people are actually on campus come the fall, and what our options will be. So that's all coming your way. Finally, I wanted to mention that our commencement is on June 4th, Friday night. It will be going live on virtual live on PCTV, and then it'll be on Facebook. It'll be on lots of different ways. It'll be an hour-long ceremony. We welcome you to come and hear about our students, and we have a salutatorian and a valedictorian this year too. So two student addresses. Would love you to hear their stories, which are fascinating. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being actively engaged. OLLI members, for caring about our community, for wanting to model what lifelong learning is all about, and helping our students understand that this isn't a moment in time, it is a lifelong avocation to continue to grow and change. And thank you for being part of our campus. We're so proud to have you. And I wish you the best, and best wishes as you launch your annual meeting. So thank you very much again, Barbara, and the whole leadership team of OLLI. And I want to give a shout out, one second, I want to give a shout out that my good friend and former president at Berkshire Community College, Barbara Viniar, is an OLLI member, and so happy to have her back and getting to be part of all of this, and putting her leadership hat back on in so many wonderful ways. So I always love having Barbara on anything we do, and was so happy when she chose to come back here and set up shop, and to be here and actively engaged in our community. So thank you.
As are we, as are we. Ellen, thank you so much for your support and for being with us today and giving us that, that update about the school we consider our school. Thank you so much, Ellen. And now the 2021 annual meeting, and now I'll call the 2021 annual meeting of the membership to order. As the light at the end of the tunnel regarding the pandemic has grown brighter and brighter, I've been looking back on the challenges our OLLI has faced over the last 15 months or so. Early on during the pandemic, we realized that we were going to be in uncharted waters for some time, and that we were going to need to be flexible and nimble and willing to experiment. We actually started referring to 2020 as the year of experiments, not realizing that we'd be talking about more than a single year before we put the pandemic behind us. I can report to all of you today that while we're still in those uncharted waters, so far, so good. That got me thinking about the strengths that have enabled our organization, our learning community, to get to that point. And the first one's apparent. It's the sum total of what we all bring to our OLLI. Our life and work experiences, our varied educational backgrounds, our shared love of learning, and our desire to give back to OLLI and to the community at large. All that is coupled with the fact that we do think of ourselves not as an organization, but as a true community. And once you've thought of yourself as a community member, a sense of commitment and responsibility naturally follows. And what better example could we have than what we all achieved by switching from all in-person classes to Zoom in record time? Our amazing course lecturers and various speakers, intrepid staff, course facilitators, committee chairs and members, individual OLLI members who've provided tech support, all came together to get our OLLI through that year of experiments. And then there's something I mentioned in my remarks at our 25th anniversary gala back in 2019, which now feels like 20 years ago, everything pre-COVID. We've always thought of our OLLI as a work in progress, never as a finished piece. And that has freed us
Not a webinar.
to be creative and eager to face new challenges in new ways. It's held us in good stead for almost 27 years, and I believe will continue to hold us in good stead in the years ahead. So now let's talk for a moment about our programming during this year of experiments. Over this time period, we've produced more programming than ever before for more people, both OLLI and non-OLLI members, than ever before. We've done that at the same time we've maintained a high quality of programming, and we've made more of our programming free and open to the public than we have in the past, because we felt compelled to do so through these trying times. Just to give some examples of the topical, free, and open to the public programming we've offered, and this is just a handful. Back in June of 2020, we offered a course by Ginny O'Leary entitled Resilience in the Time of COVID-19. We had a lecture on the death of expertise, Professor Tom Nichols on the campaign against established knowledge and why it mattered, with 1,113 enrollees. We had a conversation entitled We're Better Than This. It was a conversation with Maya Rockimore Cummings and our own Will Singleton, with 697 enrollees. Stephen Miller, Trump Rallies and the White Nationalist Agenda, 1,100 enrollees. Then there was The Right to Vote, Re-examining Women's Suffrage, moderated by Catherine Kidd, with 602 enrollees. That was originally going to be the subject of a university day, but when our gatherings together became impossible, it was reimagined as an OLLI course, a wonderful OLLI course as it turned out. Then we had Big Data's Impact on Workforce Success and Equity, with 213 enrollees. The last one I'll mention is Healthcare Does Not Equal Health, Drivers of Health Inequities for Older Adults, with 562 enrollees. Of course, these enrollment figures were made possible because the courses and lectures were presented via Zoom. So many of us have now developed a comfort level on Zoom that started with our determination to take OLLI courses. A side benefit of that experience, we've gained, has enabled us to find ways to remain socially connected with friends and family during this time. We've shared Zoom brunches and cocktail parties, celebrated milestones, birthdays, attended grandchildren's graduations, and shared other significant events in each other's lives. We've actually had an OLLI member whose wedding service and reception was held on Zoom. One OLLI member has remained connected with her granddaughters by holding discussions on short stories they're reading. My daughter and I have cooked and shared meals together, Nicole in her kitchen in New Paltz and me in my kitchen in Stockbridge. And I'm sure each of you has examples of your own. And now let's look at our membership levels during this year of experiments. Megan will have some more details, but we in fact reached one of our highest membership totals in the fall of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, breaking past 1,400 members for a period of time. That figure has fallen back just a bit, but I can report that we were at 1,382 members as of May 17th. And the percentage of our members who reside more than 50 miles from Pittsfield has increased threefold just from 2020 to 2021, from roughly 7% of the total to a remarkable 21% of current OLLI members living more than 50 miles from Pittsfield. And when I say more than 50 miles from Pittsfield, that includes 7 Berkshire OLLI members who live in Hawaii, 3 members in South Dakota, and members in California, New Jersey, the Carolinas, Texas, and a few in Canada. And finally, let's look to the immediate future. Whenever I've run into OLLI members recently, they've invariably asked me about whether we're going to offer in-person or Zoom courses in the fall. What I can say is that the situation remains fluid, but we plan on having a mix of in-person and Zoom classes. The exact mix to be determined as we continue to monitor both state and CDC safety guidelines. The fact of the matter is that the year of experiments has already stretched into more than a year. We're all going to need to be patient. We're going to ask for your feedback via a re-entry survey. We're going to remain flexible and nimble and creative, and I'm sure we'll find the right mix as we go forward together. I need to end my remarks by again thanking our amazing lecturers, committed board members, hardworking committee chairs and members, and our dedicated and seemingly tireless staff, Megan Wilden, Andy Otteson, and Ray Langsdale, for all that they've done to keep us learning together and in touch with one another over the last 15 months. I also need to thank 4 current members of the OLLI board whose terms will end at the conclusion of today's meeting, each of whom wears more than one hat for OLLI. And that would be Bob DeRochers, Ginny O'Leary, Chris Gaudet, and Shelley Sturman. As chair of our technology committee, Bob provides audiovisual support for OLLI events and classes, but that's only half the story. He also conducts IT data analyses and surveys and demographic studies in support of several OLLI committees. When we need to dig into the numbers, we call on Bob. Bob, you are and will remain our indispensable man. Thank you so much. Chris Gaudet serves as our editor of our wonderful in-house newsletter, the OLLI Update, co-chair of our Arts Curriculum Committee, and leader of our very popular and growing Foreign Film Shared Interest Group. In addition to being a board member, Ginny O'Leary is chair of our Social Science Curriculum Committee. Ginny and her committee members work to provide us with outstanding courses semester after semester, and to provide our lecturers in the social sciences with all the support they need. Shelley Sturman has served on the OLLI Governance Committee, is Chris's co-chair on the Arts Curriculum Committee and OLLI's volunteer coordinator. She also serves as co-chair of our Art Show Committee and as facilitator of our annual Leadership Academy. I'm delighted to report that while Bob, Ginny, Shelley, and Chris are taking off their board member hats, they are not giving up on the amazing work they do for OLLI. It's been my pleasure and privilege to work with each of them. Thank you, Bob, Ginny, Shelley, and Chris, for all you've done and continue to do for our OLLI. That concludes my remarks. But before I introduce Megan, I'd like to say that when an organization is really lucky, it finds that it has just the right person in just the right position at just the right time. It's been our good fortune to have Megan Wilden as our director as we've navigated through the last year or so. Megan was determined from the pandemic's earliest days to keep our OLLI open and functioning. Her attitude from the start has been that we are going to do this, and we'll just have to figure out how along the way. You know, there's that word experiment again. Her determination to conduct business, though not business as usual, and the confidence she has shown in our staff and in all of us to make it happen became infectious, and here we are today. So thank you, Megan, for being that right person. And Megan will now give her annual report to the membership. Megan?
Barbara, thank you. Oops, yes. Thank you so much for those kind words. You almost brought me to tears, and I was worried if I was going to be able to talk. It's been quite a year, but OLLI is quite a community, and as you said, OLLI is a learning community. So I knew that together we could learn a new way of learning together, through Zoom with our classes and our instructors, and it was very powerful to see how everybody came together and rose to the challenges. As some of you know, I am actually Zooming from California today. Thanks. One of the magic aspects of Zoom, as you noted, is you can do it from anywhere. I'm here with my mom, who is recovering from a hospital visit. So my slides are not as extensive as I had hoped, but we do have some slides. So Andy, if you want to put up, not the very first one, but I think the next one. And that would be the membership one. So this is a slide that just shows you thanks, and this slide was created by the fabulous Bob DeRosier, and I add my kudos and thanks to Barbara's, to Bob and Ginny and Chris and Shelley for the incredible work that they do. And as you can see, that OLLI actually gained members over the pandemic. Our membership revolves monthly, so it goes up and down every month depending on how many renew and how many new members, but we continue to see robust membership, and it is very important for us to serve all of our members, whether they are nearby or far away, and we'll talk more about that. What I'm going to do next is provide a look ahead at all the great things to look forward to. So Andy, if you could do the next slide, thank you. And of course, next week is our next amazing Mona Sherman Memorial Lecture. For those of you who are not familiar with them, Mona Sherman was an extraordinary OLLI member and volunteer and leader who served as our board president and in many other roles, and left us unexpectedly. And in her memory, her family, including her husband, Art Sherman, who's with us today, created an annual lecture series in her memory. And we've been very honored to present that each year with some extraordinary speakers ranging from Cokie Roberts to Katie Tour to many prominent speakers and authors. And normally we have it in concert with the annual meeting, but we separated them during this online time of COVID, so it would be a extremely long Zoom. So next week, next Tuesday, we have the perfect subject of the lecture, which is the new normal. And this is going to be presented by Dr. Jennifer Ashton, who is the ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent, and she has just written a book called The New Normal, and the subtitle is A Roadmap to Resilience in the Pandemic Era. So we hope you'll join us. That's going to be Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, online via Zoom, and it is always free and open to the public. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, please do. And if Andy is able to, maybe he'll put the link in the chat, or maybe he already did, because he thinks of those things before I say them usually. And then next up, of course, on Monday, our Summer 1 classes start. A number of those, almost all of the limited edition ones have filled up. We have one spot left in Athol Fugard's The Road to Mecca class, which is, you'll be reading and discussing that amazing play. We also have a couple of spaces left in a writing class by Steve Rubin, who is a terrific writer. You have, I'm sure, read his columns in the Berkshire Eagle, and this class is actually going to specialize on writing for a purpose, how to write letters to the editor and op-eds and columns, and very importantly, how to get them published. So if you feel like you have something to say, and I know that most OLLI members do, especially those in today's headlines. I encourage you to sign up for that class and nab one of those few spots. It is on Thursday morning. And again, Steve is a terrific speaker. So, and if you're already signed up for an OLLI class or two, but you decide you wanted to just add one or two more, or however many, just give the OLLI office a call or send us an email and we can take care of that for you. Our current computer system doesn't allow you to add new classes yourself online, but it's very easy for us to do that for you. Also coming up, we have the Distinguished Speaker Series Committee has really outdone itself over the past year. As Barbara mentioned, we've more than doubled the amount of programs we offered over the past year because we wanted to make sure our OLLI members stayed engaged, stayed learning, stayed connected to each other during this challenging time. So just in the next month, we have 3 fascinating speakers coming up, all currently online. On June 3rd, we have Women in War, Victims, Warriors, and Peacemakers. Thursday, What is Living and What is Dead in Fascism. Those are both open for registration. And we haven't made this public yet, but we will put it up hopefully by early next week. A new book that's going to be released June 1st called Mercury Rising, John Glenn, John Kennedy, and the New Battleground of the Cold War. We will have the author discussing that book, which should be fascinating. So watch your email for that. I also want to point out that actually in the summer 1 semester, this happened so quickly that if you don't read all your OLLI emails, you would have missed it. We did add an in-person class, and that is that was a Introduction to Hiking in the Berkshires class, which sold out almost immediately, but we're excited to offer it and excited to start bringing people together again. So that is just a reminder. I know we send a lot of emails. We try not to, but there's so many good things going on. But do keep an eye on your emails and make sure they don't go in your junk folder so that you don't miss anything terrific. And I can't remember what the next slide is. I think at this, okay. Thank you, Andy. So then also coming up, we now have 2 semesters in the summer, which is exciting. And this second semester will be July 19th to August 27th. We will open it for registration probably in a couple of weeks. We just have to finalize the dates, but it has a lot of your favorite classes. We have music classes, theater classes. We have a great hot topics class, finding your writer's voice. Of course, Howie Arkins will do his now a summer film class and all kinds of good stuff, including our favorite science conversations in today's headlines, which run every semester now because they're so popular and because there's, because there's always new news and always new discoveries. And this is when I don't remember what's the next slide, Andy? Okay, income. Okay, you can take the slides down now. So I was hoping to make more slides, but I did have a family emergency, so I wasn't able to, but I did want to do a shout out to the Special Events Committee. They have an event, they're going to start organizing in-person events again, including a matinee at the Chester Theater this summer, which is going to be held at Hancock Shaker Village, and will include a lunch, and we'll be sending information about that soon. And we had a wonderful event earlier this week, which was a shared interest group open house, the first one we've ever held. And the shared interest groups, or SIGs for short, are rocking and rolling. We have a new one, a new book club starting next month. And you can actually sign up to attend the first meeting of that on our website as well. And then looking very far ahead, our University Day Committee is working hard on their next project. And frankly, they're going to have to change the name of their committee because they're planning to do a week-long exploration of the culture and history of Native Americans in the northeastern United States. And that will be in September 2022. So something really fascinating to look forward to there as well. And finally, the fall semester is, of course, on everyone's minds because we have many OLLI members who can't wait to get together, have classes in person again. We have many OLLI members nervous about in-person classes again and wanting to know what that will look like. And then we have a lot of OLLI members who actually love attending classes in their slippers and pajamas or whatever they're wearing. And having the in-person, having the online classes. So we are completely committed at OLLI to continuing to offer online classes, to return to in-person classes as soon as it's safe and wherever possible. And we actually had a meeting just this morning, a demonstration of new technology to figure out how we can make a hybrid class that is both in person, that you can attend either in person or online, the best for our members and our instructors and our volunteers. So we're working hard on the technology for all of that. And so you can expect for the fall semester to see a variety of options. What exactly that will look like, we don't know yet. And of course, as everyone knows who reads the news is changing quickly, and all I can tell you is that whatever we do, it will be as safe as possible, and we will follow the regulations set by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where we're located, as well as Berkshire Community College. But things are looking up, as I think we all can see and feel, for seeing each other in person a lot more in the near future. So that is my report on what's coming up next for OLLI. And the other thing I just want to remind you is that a couple of things. The reason why OLLI is so wonderful, bottom line, is because of OLLI members and OLLI volunteers. We have over 200 members who serve as volunteers, and every single one of them, actually, especially after the past year, deserves a huge round of applause and so many kudos, endless kudos, because they're what makes OLLI great. All of our programming is inspired and created and organized by OLLI members. And if you have ideas about programming, if you want to get involved, we strongly encourage you to contact us, and we'll help find the best place, the best area that you will most enjoy volunteering. We actually have a volunteer whisperer, and that is Shelly Sherman, who is our volunteer coordinator, and she would be delighted to speak with you and help you connect to the best possible volunteer opportunity. And you may have noticed we sent out a volunteer survey as well. So if you haven't responded to that yet, we would love to get your response. It's a very quick and short survey, and that's part of our ongoing partnership that Ellen mentioned with Villages of the Berkshires, which is one of our key partners, and we're very excited to continue to work with them. And we have a great event planned with them in July that you'll be hearing about more soon. And then I just want to also mention that we will be sending a reopening survey out in the next month or so as well, because we want to hear from you as to what you want to see from OLLI as far as programming, and whether it's online or in person and so forth going forward, so that you know that you have a voice in everything we do. So that's my report. And at the end of, and in a little while, at the end of this annual meeting, we'll have time for Q&A if you have questions. But meanwhile, I'll turn it back to Barbara. Or do I introduce Lenny? I forget.
I'll take it from here, Megan. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our treasurer, Len Tabbs, for his annual report to the OLLI membership. Len?
Hi, can you hear me now? We okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just like to put up the income statement to start, and I just want to focus everyone into the fact that we have increased membership, and because of the COVID Zoom environment, it's the best of all of the economic world that we have so far. If you just run through, course income and membership dues represent 90% of our total revenue stream. Now, for clarity's sake here, we don't show a budget and we don't show last year on here. But both the course income, which is over $134,000, and membership income, which is nearly $64,000, they're both way ahead of budget and that of last year. Course income for the 10 months, as you see, was 46% ahead of last year and 34% of what we put down as the budget expectation. Membership dues were 15% ahead of last year, and they're slightly ahead of the budget expectation also. Now, these increases can be directly attributed to operating in this Zoom COVID type environment. A higher membership count, and at the same time, increased course enrollment. Revenue for both Distinguished Speaker Series and special events were also ahead of last year, and also the result of the same Zoom COVID type environment. Contributions that you see under the second column in endowment account represented about $20,000 through this 10 months, and that counts the annual appeal that we've taken. The endowment account that we have has grown nicely since June 30 of last year, the end of our fiscal year. We have reaped about a $500,000 gain from that for the 10-month period. On the expense side, which is the second chart, I want you to disregard this left side column or the right side column. We didn't clear the numbers. So I'm just going to talk to the left side numbers. You could see that we have total expenses of nearly $119,000, 118,508. And that represents 7% less than that of last year. Most of this came about because of why less than last year is we don't print catalogs during the Zoom environment. Therefore, printing and graphics was much less than what we did last year. We do, however, spend money on advertising, as you see, and the reason there is we obviously want to protect the franchise and putting out the name OLLI during this period. So as the result of the increased income and reduced expense posture, our net operating income for this 10 years is for 10 months, is slightly over $100,000. For the full year, I expect this number to decrease slightly, but not that much. So to recap the income statement, because of the Zoom environment, increased membership, increased course enrollment, decreased cost of us doing business, we have the highest income number we've ever had since at least I've been associated with OLLI, and it's nearly $100,000. If I can ask you to turn to the balance sheet. We have approximately $50,000 of cash in the bank. If I can ask you to look at the endowment account as of April 30, it sits at $2,669,000. We have some prepaid expenses based upon the structure of how we fund Megan's salary. And so on the asset side, total assets, we have over $2,700,000. We still owe the college $60,000 for prior advances made to us during the harder financial times. We do expect to pay the college back by the time year end rolls around. So from a perspective of the endowment, we certainly have reaped the same gains that the stock market has allowed us. We had nearly a 20% increase in gain since June 30. We're sitting with cash in the bank and a little more to come in for contributions during the last couple of months. And we will be clean on the liability side once June 30 rolls around. So we're in healthy financial shape, especially resulting from the environment this year. This concludes my remarks. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions later on during the Q&A. So thank you.
And Len, thank you for your report today and for all you do as our treasurer. Thank you very much. And now, Megan, you can take my remarks off the screen at this point.
They're not on the screen.
Oh, they're not. Okay, they're just,
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you. All right. And let's see. All right, Megan, I think we're ready for the Q&A. What questions do we have?
Oh, I think we need to announce the election results first.
Well, I thought we were going to do that at the end.
Oh, okay. Then, all right. Sorry, my mistake. Yes. So now's a great time to ask any questions about OLLI and the things that we've been reporting. Since we do have over 70 people here, if you can use the blue hand to raise your hand, which you can find by clicking on participants. And then at the bottom, you can click on the blue hand, and then we'll call on you. Any questions? You can also put questions or comments in the chat function as well. How do we pay for the free programs? Carolyn Starr writes. That's a great question, Carolyn. And one of the extraordinary things about OLLI is that all of our instructors and our speakers are all volunteers, with very few exceptions, and that's if we have a grant that pays for them. Some grants require that you pay for your speakers. So basically, the only cost to provide a free program for us is the cost of staff and volunteer time. So that's why we were able to do that over the past year. But although that is a real, staff and volunteer time is a real cost. But we're really grateful to all of our volunteer instructors and speakers, and that allows us to do so much. Let's see, any other questions or comments? You can also raise your physical hand if that's easier. And Louise Frankenberg says she's so glad we'll still have Zoom classes in the fall. And Louise, by the way, lives right here in the Berkshires. So there's definitely people in the Berkshires locally who really enjoy having Zoom classes, as well as our members from farther away. And Bob Braddock writes a nice comments about the OLLI staff. Thank you so much, Bob. And it goes right back to our extraordinary board of directors who really rose to the occasion last year, and everyone just rode in the same direction, and we were able to really adapt so quickly and wonderfully, thanks to everybody here and many others. And I'll look for raised hands because I know sometimes it takes a little bit to find that blue hand. And Carolyn writes, I think the free programs may bring in a lot of new members. Absolutely. That is absolutely true. They did do that. And that was one of the reasons we offered them, as well as a gift to the community as a way to reach new people who felt like they would be comfortable, who are interested in online programming. And Bruce writes, any chance that the steps we are taking for mixed classes that are both online and in person can also be used for shared interest groups, which is a great question that an OLLI member sent us just this morning. And that's a great thing to think about and examine whether some of the SIGs can have both in-person and remote people participating, and that's definitely something we can work at. work on. I believe the OWL is portable. I was not in person at the OWL demonstration this morning. That's the name of this 360 camera that can be used to transmit from a meeting or class to people remotely. But I think that that is possible, and we're going to be spending this summer really working on and experimenting with different ways to make sure that whatever technology we use, that it is easy, that it is relatively seamless and doesn't interfere with the experience for people in person, people online, or the instructor. And John Dixon writes, nice to see such a healthy endowment. What does OLLI do with it? When do you head UTAP into it? So Barbara, do you want to answer that, or Lenny, or would you like me to?
Well, I mean, right now the endowment funds the fringe and the salary for Megan. That's per the bylaw. That's what the endowment's for. To the extent that it's over $2 million, once we finish with that, we are free to use it if we need for emergency purposes or for other opportunities. We can draw on the return. We can never go below $2 million. The answer to you is this is the first time we've had this exceptional situation because of the stock market and perhaps the switch in the investment advisors that we made 1.5 years ago or 2 years, which paid off this year. To answer you, we have no intention of really doing anything with it right now. We're looking to even build it higher and then maybe switch the investment vehicle to something that isn't so subject to the swings and turns of the stock market. So my answer to you right now, we are at the apex or we're at the high, but I wouldn't get overly confident on blowing it all on some kind of project. We have to look at the long-term affair. We know we need a 5% return on approximately $3 million to be safe to fund the executive director over the next few years. And so once we reach that number, then maybe there'll be a different discussion. But right now, we're just reaping the benefits of whatever the stock market can give us. And again, we cannot go below $2 million anyway. Not allowed to invade the corpus.
Arthur, did you want to add more to that?
I just wanted to ask you to give some reference to the relationships that have evolved with the Berkshire Innovation Center and One Berkshires.
Absolutely, thank you. And that is there are so many really incredible programs that have developed over the past year. I apologize for not mentioning that one, but there is a committee of OLLI members that have been working on future technology issues. And we're originally actually planning an in-person conference, but COVID intervened, and just like the rest of OLLI, they nimbly changed course and instead created an online class on future technology that was created in partnership with two of the major economic development organizations in the Berkshires. Another first for OLLI to be in partnership, active partnership with One Berkshire, which encompasses the Visitors Bureau and the Chamber of Commerce, and the new Berkshire Innovation Center, which, by the way, opened about 2 weeks before the pandemic hit. So we have these amazing partnerships with them. We have offered this class as well as a number of fascinating free lectures, including one on driverless cars and other things. And there will be much more very fascinating programming in the works, thanks to that committee. So thank you for mentioning that, Art. And then just to go back to John's question, I just want to note that The reason why we are an OLLI is because, which is of course stands for the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, is because we were given a generous endowment gift by the Bernard Osher Foundation. And that's what makes us an OLLI. And so then that foundation, we're allowed to take, I think it's like 4 or 5% from it each year, and that makes up 35 to 40% of our current budget. So the foundation helps support OLLI and along with earned income from our classes and registrations, and really it allows us to keep our fees very affordable. We have, considering the quality of what we offer, the classes and memberships are very affordable, and it also allows us to offer scholarships, partial scholarships to anyone that would like one. All right. And I'm going to go look at the questions again, and one of them is about the OWL remote device. Linda asked, does the OWL have a microphone to pick up the face-to-face members in the room? Does anyone who is in person want to answer that? Steve?
The answer is it has a microphone and a camera that is voice activated. So if you're in one part of the room, it will concentrate on you and show the picture of you, as no different that when Barbara was speaking, you were able to see her full screen, and Ellen Kennedy full screen, and Megan full screen. The OWL has the ability to do the same thing, and it can, right now, it's capable of doing a classroom of maybe 20 or 25 people, I would say. And we're talking about the future, what else it can do. So the answer is yes, it does have a microphone.
And we could, I was on the remote side of the OWL demonstration. And by the way, it's called the OWL because it can turn around in 360 and follow sound and movement. And the sound of people speaking, from the students speaking as opposed to the instructor, I thought it picked it up very well. And the nice thing is, of course, and we're using this more and more, is that when you're attending remotely, we're going to start having it so we always have the live transcript on, which you can show or not show, it's your choice. But that if there is any sound quality issues, that really helps as well. And Bob Braddock asked about new directions for OLLI, including, for example, expanding into Columbia County. That is something we absolutely want to do. And in this OLLI, we are always welcome to new ideas and new programs. And related to that, we just established a diversity committee that is working on a diversity statement that will be shared soon. And that leads to Barbara Vineyard's questions. Do we collect data on race and gender among our members? We don't currently, but that may be something that we do in the future for sure. And the OLLI, the national OLLI does do national surveys of selected OLLIs to gauge, what the makeup of OLLIs are, what the interests are, and other things.
And if I could Megan, if I could get back to Bob Braddock's question, as a matter of fact, we had an open house scheduled at the Hillsdale Library at weeks before the pandemic hit. So yes, Columbia County is very much in our sights, and we just need to get back to the point where we can start to meet again.
Exactly. And Louise asks, how much does the national OLLI interface with ours? Well, it's really I actually don't know technically if it's like a federation or something. Each OLLI is independent. There's 124 around the country in every state. And then there's an OLLI, a National Resource Center. And that just helps by convening, communicating, and connecting all of the OLLIs so that we have a national bulletin board, online bulletin board, where we can share ideas and questions and so forth. We have an OLLI conference every 18 months where members of the different OLLIs all come together, and we have workshops and stuff, and there's webinars and things like that. So there's a lot of sharing of ideas and information, but other than that, we're all independent, and there's no rules except for very simple ones, which is that you provide high quality learning experiences that are designed especially by and for people of 50 years and older. They like to use seasoned adults, but that always makes me think of French fries, so I don't usually use that. And that you're a program of a college or university. And we are one of only 3 or 4 that are connected with a community college, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah, and I would add that I think the OLLIs generally have been so successful because the Osher Foundation really encourages us to go out into our community, find out what the needs, the wants and needs are, and deliver. There's actually an expression in OLLI world that is, to know one OLLI is to know one OLLI, because we've all really evolved in response to the wants and needs of our communities.
And in fact, over the past year, I think there's a number of OLLI members that, because everything is online now, have joined several OLLIs. So they may be in one state, but they've also like kind of programming that another OLLI does. So in fact, we have a member who is here, but I don't see him now, Steve Aero, who is, I believe, a member of 3 different OLLIs. So that happens as well. Bob?
Yeah, relative to the OWL, I think it might be appropriate if we were to consider buying one. When I hear about, the SIGs would make use of it. And if we wanted to go over to neighboring counties in New York State, it is indeed portable. In fact, the way to think about it, it's just a very sophisticated webcam. What it does, it has a fisheye lens, and it can electronically zoom and pan to whoever is speaking. And it has some pretty sophisticated artificial intelligence that modifies the volume of the sound, and it's really quite a neat device. And we're talking about $1,000 for one unit.
Thank you, Bob. Any other questions or comments? Louise is asking, is there a list of OLLIs somewhere? And I am going to put it in. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. But it's really fun to look at what other OLLIs are doing. And because we generally don't compete with each other because we're all in different regions, we can borrow ideas from each other and share them with each other. And it's a very collegial and wonderful partnership. So Ellen is writing, but just to be clear, the OWL would need to be used at BCC for any of the SIGs, correct? There is the possibility, Ellen, that OLLI could buy its own, that could then be moved wherever we want. That's definitely a possibility. So the next few months, we have a OLLI committee that is focused on re-entry and what that's going to look like. Yep. Barbara?
Oh, no, sorry.
That's okay. And so they'll be looking at all the possibilities and making sure that we have the best possible arrangement going forward. Bob, did you have your hand up, Bob?
Yeah, we heard today at the demo that BCC is really committed to using these OWL devices. They in fact have purchased 30 of them. For most of the uses would be in the smaller rooms in Melville and Hawthorne, but there's talk about using it in G12, for example, maybe H402, maybe, and this might be really tough, K111. That's a very large space. But anyway, BCC is fully committed, and it sounds great.
And an interesting thing about what's going on with Berkshire Community College is that when they polled students about whether they wanted in-person or online classes, they said they wanted in-person classes. But when they started fall registration, 5-to-1, the students are choosing online classes. So we will be surveying everyone, but the proof will, of course, be in the pudding as to what people register for and so forth. So, that's, you know, so again, it's, you know, it was Barbara that coined the year of experiments for last year, and it will definitely continue to be for this year too. But the good news is we're all working together. We all know that there's much opportunity to move forward, and that we'll meet the challenges together in great new ways and learn while we're going. We've learned so much over the past year, and I predict that will continue to be true. Last call for questions. All right, back to you, Barbara.
Thank you, thank you. And now it's my pleasure to announce that the membership has overwhelmingly approved the adoption of the revised bylaws with over 97% of the votes cast in favor. I want to thank the members of the Governance Committee led by Board Vice President Gordon Josephson for all the hard work on that project. I'm also delighted to report that current board members Bob Braddock, Ellen Quabier, and Monica Sinclair have been reelected to serve second two-year terms on the OLLI board with 99% of the votes in favor. And finally, I can now welcome John Dixon and Malvina Wasserman to the board as they have been elected to serve their first two-year terms also with 99% of the votes in favor. So I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you all for attending. Stay safe and well. And I'm going to look forward to seeing all of you next year, only we're going to be in person and back at the Mahawi. And so with that, I'll adjourn today's meeting. Thank you all. Stay well. Now we'll do our OLLI farewell wave. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, enjoyed it. Good meeting.